Hey guys, and welcome! My name is Michael, I'm the Dead Aussie Gamer, and welcome to Pathfinder, Curse of the Crimson Throne, a first edition adventure which we have lovingly converted into Pathfinder 2nd edition for you folks at home, and of course, my wonderful Patreons who support my channel, help me keep the lights on, and get to play in this incredible game. Good morning, everyone!
Good morning.
Hello.
Michael.
Hello. Now, before we get around to meeting these lovely people, let's take a quick moment to send out a few thanks for people out there in the internet world. First of all, Dorktails, you bloody beautiful legends, you frickin' welcome in. It's so good to see you. How was your game? How was your stream? Tell me all the stuff. Playing them dungeons and or dragons. Don't worry, if you don't know what Pathfinder's all about, we're very encouraging of people learning the system, asking questions, if you don't know what the plot's going on, because, of course, you know, hey, some of you guys may not have seen me before, because I played Ghost Knuckles, okay? Maybe you saw me in the Dorktales game dead, you know, maybe you did, maybe you didn't, who knows? But if you have any questions about Pathfinder, the game, the system and stuff, this is an incredibly interactive game, so feel free to ask questions in the chat, anytime whatsoever, and we'll answer it to the best of our ability. So there you go. Next up, we want to take a quick moment to thank our sponsors. These guys help us maintain these streams, make them look as good as possible for you guys at home, and that is, of course, Hero Forge, for the wonderful art you can see on stream that we use for VTT models, as well as the artworks that we use for our lovely characters. I mean, look at these guys. Freaking amazing. And thanks to Reactive as a website that we use for Discord, they animate for you so you can tell who's saying what. Say hello to our Hero Forge team. Hi, guys.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Yay. Hello. Anyway, so yes, guys, if you want to make your own incredible 3D model and have it either printed or use it like me in VTTs, consider Hero Forge. I find that even for me, getting a premium subscription, which is like $50 for a year, you end up getting to use a lot of the assets and a lot of the things that are there to make and inspire a ton of D&D characters. So whether or not you're playing a single campaign and want a way to commemorate these characters through minis, or if you're like me and you make a million different character ideas and save them for later, yeah, Hero Forge is a freaking unit of a bit of software. Next up, of course, we like to thank Sirenscape for the beautiful sound effects that you will hear over the course of today's game, such as the sound of bees.
Not the bees.
Not the bees! This and many more sounds are available as a massive sound library at this point. I feel like it's just this huge collection of different sound effects that you can use in your game and use to make everything elevate. There are tons of ambient music, sounds of gunshots, you know, freaking lasers, people screaming. You name it, there's a million different things for you to use at any given time. Yeah, again, if you subscribe to the Super Siren package, you then also get access to every single catalog of sounds there. But that's not the best of it. The best of it is if you use the VTT that I have, so Fantasy Grounds, which is our last sponsor, you can also integrate a lot of the sound effects into the actual VTT, which will play on cues based on how you set them up. I'll do a tutorial video one day, but not right now.
Doug, does it play the sound of a tree falling in a forest if no one's around to hear it?
So what you're asking is, does it play the sound of a tree in a VTT if Fantasy Grounds isn't open?
Maybe?
Yes. There you have it. You've heard it unequivocally. It is a firm answer. Will it play? Like me? Yes, it will play. So anyway, moving right along. Let's take a moment to quickly speed through the introductions of all of the characters that you're going to enjoy today. Starting with none other than Twiff, our wonderful character playing the role of Padrig, the gunslinger arcanist. From a noble family betrayed by those surrounding him, Padrig was once on a pathway to becoming a great and powerful arcanist, but due to him being framed for murder, he had to leave his life behind, take up the gun, and try and make his own way in the world. While his influential family did manage to I guess, brush some of this stuff under the rug. His life was never quite the same. Ever since, since then, he has begun to work in the city of Korvosa in order to try and make himself, build his own reputation outside of his family through his good deeds and actions with this group. Good morning, Twiff.
Good morning.
How was that? Good?
Good evening. That's spot on.
Nice. All right. Following which, we have the delightful and incredible Malakisa, who I will also take a moment to point out will be going to Gen Con to run a few amazing tables for those of you who are attending Gen Con this year. So, just something to kind of get you guys excited. Who's playing the character Holly, a tiny fey noble from the Unseelie court who was destined to marry into the various families, but instead decided that this was not the life that she wanted either. Abandoning the Unseelie court, she went to the human world and found herself in the city of Korvosa, where she dreamed to become a hero like those found in stories. Along with her husky companion Penny, they began to search for opportunities, but instead found the city to be grim, gritty, and dark. Doing what she could to try and maintain her innocence, it wasn't until a plague gripped the city and an orphanage of kids were at risk that Holly succumbed to the dark side. Signing a pact and contractually obligating herself to be one with the Temple of Asmodeus. Now a servant to the evil god, Holly does whatever she can to fulfill her obligations to the evil deity, but at the same time try to hold on to the heroism that inspired her all those years ago. Good morning, Mally.
Good morning, Gog.
How was that?
It was good. It was really good, yeah.
Nice. All right, I'm nailing these. I'm freaking onto these. I'm like, whoa. Oh, yeah. I'm in rare form today. All right. Next up, playing the role of Quinn is our friend Ire Janasi. Now, Quinn is an investigator from this city, a local who has grown up in the back alley streets of this very, very mixed city, ranging from Old Korvosa, where the slums and the people work hard, to the high courts, where nobles and debutantes rub shoulders and stick their noses up at fine banquets. Quinn has become an integral part of this city from the top to the bottom, having met and interacted with a number of individuals, helping them in any way that they could, eventually leading to a detective agency that they had created in order to help the people that needed it most. Quinn also made friends with the rough and tumbles of Eel's End, who were kind of like these, I guess, thugs in a way, and through her influence with these thugs, learned much about the city proper. When everything started to go wrong after the death of the Emperor, Quinn put on her big girl hat and decided to try and get to the bottom of not only the murder of the Emperor, but also the plot that seems to be slowly unraveling with the Queen of Korvosa at its very heart. Along with her companions, she has found that these threads are not only thin, wispy, and frail, and every time one seems to have been grabbed, it snaps, but there are a multitude of them. But Quinn's gumption, integrity, and downright willingness to do whatever it takes has attracted not only the attention of her allies, but also of the city's local vigilante, a individual by the name of Blackjack, a character whose whose costume and weapons have recently been delivered to Quinn with a very cryptic note as to what she should do with it. Hi, Ire.
Hey, Michael.
How was that?
Thank you for that splendid introduction.
Yay! I'm glad you like it. I'm super keen to see what happens with that character, especially around the Blackjack story as well. Next up, we have Dante, our kitsune druid, who hails from the forest surrounding Korvosa. This incredible character is played by Rykon, and Dante has kind of a sad starting to their backstory. Dante lives in the forests and doesn't often come to the city, although this is probably the longest Dante's ever been in the city, having embarked on a new quest. A friend and a dear confidant of our kitsune druid succumbed to the influence of drugs. Pesh was the undoing of Dante's friend, and feeling a sense of responsibility, he decided to look into what had occurred and found out that a nefarious plot that had been victimizing the people of Korvosa had been underway for many years. So Dante set out to stop not only the distributor, but also the one creating the industry themselves, the drug kingpin at the heart of this trade. After defeating Gadron Lamb, the person who was distributing drugs, Dante has yet to find any solid leads towards who is manufacturing the Pesh in the city. However, he does have his companions to help him out and to make sure that he remains on this path. And this wonderful character is played by our friend Rykon. Hi, Rykon.
Hello.
All right. Next in our list is Agnes, played by our dear friend Laura Bones, a woman who has once upon a time fallen in love with a wonderful man and birthed a beautiful daughter. A Varisian woman by nature, which means traditionally she would be traveling around the world, Agnes decided that when her daughter was born, she would stay in the city and raise her around the people here in Korvosa, following the passing of her late husband. Over the years, she had become renowned as a midwife, confidant, fortune-telling friend, many things that have lent upon her very esoteric powers as a Varisian, I say soothsayer, but like psychic, I think, is probably the better description here. When the plague first started hitting Korvosa, her daughter and her daughter's partner were affected by the influence, so Agnes set out to go and try her best to bring an end to this disease, having found allies in which she could confide in, despite those allies' penchant for burning down houses. She eventually managed to cure not only the disease, but also free her daughter's boyfriend, who was being captured and held by an evil vampire that intended to do experiments upon him. But none of this has shaken Agnes's goodwill, kind heart, and soft-spoken nature, as she remains to be a very, very active member of this group and supporter of everyone. More importantly, her heart remains open as she is also navigating a very complicated series of emotions and feelings towards a rather burly fisherman by the name of Dan. This incredible character played, as I mentioned, by Laura. Hi, Laura Bones.
Too many things. Too many
All the
youths.
things.
Hello.
Hello.
You managed to do that without calling me matronly once. I'm very impressed.
Thank you. I realize I realize my vocabulary as of late has been somewhat wanting. But yes, nailed it.
All the books you've been reading lately.
Yeah, because well, no, it was just that it, like every single time I kept calling Agnes old, and I'm like, she's not that old, and then Laura kept saying she's not that old, and I'm like, okay, Michael, whatever you do, don't say she's old. Start the stream. So old Agnes here. So yeah, there you go. All right, and last but certainly not least, newest member to the party, our dear friend Marcus the DM, playing the role of Mercutio the Knight. Now, an interesting story that we're still learning a lot about. Marcus was once a paladin of Iomade, a upstanding and powerful defender of the light and all things good. However, his paths crossed with an evil necromancer, and not only was he slain, but he was reborn as a skeletal undead. Having to hide his identity, he now hopes to try and restore his honor and position and in the afterlife by doing as much good as he can before undoing his undeath one way or another. This character has now learnt that I guess an alchemist in town by the name of Grundy had an apprentice who was the one responsible for having done this to him. While he may not be up to par at the moment in order to deal with this necromancer, it is Mercutio's hope that he will be able to continue to do good until he is able to exact his revenge, one way or another. Good morning, Marcus.
Hello.
All right. Now, with those things underway, and I hope you guys enjoy those little recaps there because, you know, like I said, you know, I feel like for me as well, I've wanted to, like, you know, sort of be like, hey, what is the full story behind these guys? I hope my audience has enjoyed that as well. But we have one last person to thank before we get into today's game, and that is you, our audience. Thank you so much for being part of the stream, for coming along and enjoying our show. We always appreciate our audiences, and there are a number of ways we'd like to thank you. And first is by inviting you behind the GM screen to come and play with us and help run this game. There are a number of ways you can do it. Firstly, by simply watching the show, you earn channel points in order to influence the game. These channel points can be used to give our heroes insight, divinely reroll d20s, summon wandering monsters, create magic items, tons of really, really cool stuff there. And all you have to do is watch. Subscribers obviously gain points at a faster rate, but yeah, just enjoy the game and enjoy the show. That's all we need. Now, if you happen to have a disposable income that you want to throw Dag's way, as you can see, I have a Help Fix Dag's Computer Fund to help me, well, quite frankly, replace my computer. It is very old. I can't replace it pieces anymore. I have to replace the whole thing. So very sad, but that is the case. But, of course, there are many rewards to come with it, as you can see there in the chat. For $5, you can award a hero point or a jinx point. Hero points are used to give benefits to the players, such as staving off death, re-rolling, petitioning the GM for stuff that's not in the rules, or staving off a killing blow. Jinx points are used for pretty much the exact opposite, allowing me to complicate the situation or counter hero points. For $10, I will draw either a card from the deck of heroic actions and give it to a player of your choice. These heroic actions are kind of cool, kind of special. The players get to keep one at a time. Or I will draw a plot twist card. These plot twists are a series of events and plot twists that will shape the game or change it in a little way. I'll draw 3, you'll pick one, and that'll happen. For $20, I will give someone the coveted golden natural 20, which is just a natural 20, because why the hell not? $50, I will increase the difficulty of a fight or a challenge, making a boss stronger, etc. Or you can provide a magic item to a player of your choice. Right now, another option that we have for that is that people have been putting towards a magic item set. So that is to say they're building like kind of a piecemeal type magic armor item set. What's our item set at the moment, guys? Do we remember?
Oh, we have like 3 going on.
Yeah, that's why I'm having trouble remembering what. Who's got an item set on the way?
I have currently the Regalia of the Last Crusader.
Okay, and who else has got something?
I have Bracers of the Shadow.
Oh
and
yes,
the
yep.
Dagger, Set of the Fallen.
Set of the Fallen, yep. And I feel like there was one more. No?
It was supposed to be me, but we still haven't gotten around to it.
Yes, and what was your one?
I don't remember which one it was.
Can I have the pinafore of perfect pastry?
Yes. All right, we'll have to figure out Dante's again. Because, yes, we'll figure out Dante's. I feel like I have written it down. I just need to find it. So, yes, we will get to Dante's as well. And then lastly, guys, for $100, the big old $100, secret menu item. The secret menu item comes with a massive thank you because, obviously, it's a big chunk towards our goals here. The secret menu item for today is going to be quite simple for this. The group will be dealing with a... let's just say upper class area of problems in the days to come. And what I'm going to allow my audience to do is I'm going to allow my audience to create an ally for our group. Someone in the service industry who is kind of almost like their inside man, a spy, if you would, that is within the kind of upper echelons of this noble house. You guys get to decide the class. You guys get to decide their race. You guys get to decide what their pension is towards, people, like if their attitude is surly. If you want to make a grumpy dwarf that is the sommelier of their restaurant, great, fantastic, we'll do that, But you guys will get to create a full NPC, and I will make not only the character in the game part of the story, but also create a Hero Forge mini of that character. So yeah, that is our secret menu item for the day. Now, we do have a couple of rewards to get through just super quickly. I believe we have McClover coming in with a $30 donation with a hero point for Quinn. So let's get these up here real quick. All right, so hero point for Quinn. There we go. A hero point for Dante. There you go. A nat 20 for Padrig. All right. And there it is. Boop. Yep. All right. Sweet, sweet, sweet. And then we had Schooly Eye with a $20 donation, the third drawn plot twist, and a heroic action for anyone who doesn't have it. Who does not have a heroic action currently?
I
Padrick.
don't have one either.
I
Dante.
don't think I do.
All right. So we've got
Don't
1, 2, or
think I do
3.
either.
We have 4 people. All
I
right.
do.
You do? Okay. I'm going to roll a D3, and we'll see who gets it. So 1, 2, 3. That is a 1. Padrig. Your heroic action, if you would, is... Oh, well, again, keeping in mind you can trade these, but it is Drain Power. When you activate a magic item that casts a spell, you can increase the level of your spell equal to half your level rounded up.
Wow.
All right.
That
So basically
could be
you-
very useful.
Yeah, basically you like any magic item you use, like even if it's a wand or whatever, if it's a wand that treats its caster level as like 5, you would add half your level to that to make it more powerful. So yeah, you're basically forcing power out of it.
All right. What was that called again?
It was called Drain Power. And our plot twist, 1, 2, 3, is the plot twist broken.
Does that sound very well at all?
All right, so we'll have to find out what's going to happen with that one. Bless you.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. We sneeze. You're allowed to, have bodily reactions to things. All right. So, lastly, I'm going to ask for a favor from my players, and that is, who remembers what I did last week?
I do, because
Yep.
it
I
involved
do.
me.
Yeah, go on. Tell me what was I doing last week?
So last week we ended on a cliffhanger. The Merc died and then came back because of divine healing.
Mm-hmm.
The king ran away. We don't know where he went. We just know that he went down this hallway to the left here and vanished. And Jebber here, the executioner, raised her axe, and you said you used your nat 20.
And that
that's where we
indeed.
ended.
That indeed was what happened. So without any further ado, with the axe that has the Vorpal condition, meaning that if she swings and gets a natural 20, the head is cleaved straight off. We begin today's session.
And two more,
Two more heroic-
actions.
Just
Hey,
load everyone
two-
up with heroic action.
Well, that's awesome. Okay, let's get these heroic actions super quick. So, Quinn, your heroic action. Press on. Play at the start of your turn. Remove the conditions your character might have that would slow them down or provide penalties to your d20s. It's called Press On for Quinn. And then, who was the other one? Dante?
Interesting. Yeah.
Dante. Rending Swipe. After making 2 successful consecutive melee swipes against a target, you may swipe again with those 2, giving them bleed damage and sickened. If you're 7th level or higher, that bleed damage is 2d6.
Ooh.
Okay.
Oh, and we are at 7th level.
Mm-hmm. All right. So, let me know if you can't hear the music.
We have not heard anything from Sirenscape for a while
Nope.
either.
Can I hear the music?
Okay, let's try this.
Can
There
we
we
hear the
go.
music?
All right. Okay, so our scene begins with Jabba the Executioner raising her axe, swinging it down towards Mercutio. Mercutio, you can't help but watch as this axe moves with almost an unnatural heft, an unnatural swing. It gleams through the air as it makes its way in your direction, and suddenly you hear the sound of the thocking of the axe. But it doesn't come from you. You watch as Jabba cleaves the throne in half next to her. As it splits in twain, she looks at you, the giant group of individuals who are kind of Attack on Titaning her poor little body. And she says, I forgot her voice. She says, look, I have no ill will towards you, okay? And now King, he's a bit of a dick. But if you kill him, someone needs to sit on this throne. And I think that person should be me. If I let you go and you kill him, you leave this place, take the artist, but I keep everything he's built. Or if you want, we can go another few rounds.
I'm sorry, but why does somebody need to sit on the throne? I'm not entirely sure. I mean, I've lived around here for quite some time and we never had a throne in these parts before now, so...
We always have. Just not here. The throne was always in Korvosa city, in the palace. And when they blew up the bridge, they abandoned us. People are angry, scared. Without any direction, they're just going to become wild animals, at each other's throats. If you've lived here for a while, then you know the people here aren't all sunshine and roses and good people trying to get by. Most of these people are here because they have no other choice, and are here because they're desperate. And desperation makes people do dangerous things.
And foolish.
Oh, like sending out thugs into the neighborhood to just beat up random citizens. Those kind of dangerous things.
As opposed to what? Eel's End, where they send out thugs to go and break people's legs for money? Or maybe the drug-dealing children that happen to be running through the streets?
And you intend to clean all that up, do you?
Ah, no. Control it. Make sure it doesn't get out of hand. Look, this is a snake, not some sort of prim puppy dog like the city. And all I'm saying is it needs a head. Otherwise, it's just gonna wriggle around and thrash before eventually dying.
Just not sure you're the right head. I mean, I can think of way better people that live around these parts that would do a better job than you.
And what do you know of me, old woman?
Watch your tongue.
Well, you were willing to just kill all of us just because some scraggly old insane person told you to.
That's because I know how to follow orders. But as I said, I'm happy to go a few rounds, clear this mess out, and say that you did it anyway.
Agnes kind of looks around at the rest of the party and like, what do you guys think? Kind of.
Can we keep the
Can
pigs?
I Can
Can
I
you
do
keep-
whatever the Pathfinder equivalent of an insight check is on him?
Yes, that would be a perception check for 2nd edition. As for the question of whether or not you can keep the pigs, she says no, they're our pigs. Can I
But
have your
you're
dog?
You're abusing them.
Said who?
They were beat up and scarred before they ever came out. You're being very mean to them.
They're war pigs. They're violent, angry war pigs that have been trained.
Where's the painter?
Yeah, I got a 23 for my
A
perception.
23? Okay. We'll come to that question in a minute. As you make the 23, she seems pretty genuine, and honestly, she doesn't have the best interests for the city at heart, of course. Like, you can kind of tell that. She's just looking for power more than anything else. But she's not wrong. The city is in a bad way. And someone who commands fear is much easier to follow than someone who is trying to fix something that is as downtrodden as Old Korvosa. Especially with no, like, there's actually no militia, there's no guards, there's no people here to stand up and defend, and if you don't have the respect of the thugs in the town, then you absolutely will not outnumber them with people who will stand up and do the right thing. Like, it just won't happen.
And she mentioned Eel's End. Do we know what happened to the Spider King?
Oh, he's still around.
Still around.
He's a hedonist though, so he's all about just like chilling out, enjoying drugs, debauchery, and all that other stuff on his little private barge, as opposed to getting mixed up in these kind of affairs.
Right. So he's not one to seize the power vacuum.
Yeah, no. He's definitely capable of it for sure. And if you were to convince him, then like maybe, but he wouldn't do it on his own. Not while he's living literally in the lap of luxury. As for Quinn's question as to where the artist is, she says, "Oh no, that's not how this works. I'm not helping you until we have an agreement."
Oh, I plan to leave and leave you alone. And if I encounter the pretender, I'm going to kill him, but I need the artist.
Well, at least one of you can see some sense.
I have no problems with this.
As much as I hate to admit it, seems like someone is going to fill a power vacuum. And better someone who seems a bit on the saner side, as you do, than that ridiculous lunatic who fucked off.
Any of the other three can throw their opinions out anytime they want to.
You're not seriously considering letting her live, are you?
Yes, I am, because what is going to be gained by killing her? We didn't come here to kill anyone. We came here for information. We started fighting because a madman loosed war pigs on us. We're not in a position right now.
We have a greater objective. This is not the most important thing right now.
As painful as that might sound. But we didn't come here to overthrow the entire underworld of Old Korvosa. That's not a task for today.
And if we were going to fight and engage, you would be headless right now.
I'll concede your point for now.
That's all I'm
But
asking.
heed my words. We let her live. And she continues the same psychotic path as him. I will come back, and her head will fall.
This is the part that I usually save for when we're alone.
He's saying the quiet part out loud again, isn't he?
Yes.
Oh no, this is direct for her to know.
She seems to just sort of look. She's not like, again, she's still on guard, but she knows what she wants and she doesn't really care how she gets it. She'll deal with future problems when they crop up.
As will we.
And he kind of spins his blade around and puts it in his sheath.
I think Agnes was trying to say something.
No, Agnes is biting her tongue right now.
Okay. Very well. All right. Well, as soon as that happens, you watch as she takes off her executioner hood, and you actually see like maybe a 17-year-old-ish gnomish girl behind the hood. And she looks at you and says, well, if you head down that way, door on your right, first door on your right, and then straight on through, you'll find his cell.
Are we going to need keys?
No.
Who's got keys?
The
Okay.
Emperor.
Splendid. Okay. Got you. Perfect. Thank you.
I've got lockpicks if it comes to that.
All right.
All right.
As you make your way, rushing through the door, I'm going to say that those enlargements are going to wear off.
Yeah, it lasts for 5 minutes, but
Yeah, we're just going to say that they wear off. just
I
because
was actually gonna ask if it's possible if
we can
it's
dismiss it.
possible to yeah.
Yeah, no, I get it. All right. So, making your way, following the instructions, heading into...
Drag Holly away from the pigs.
He's keeping the
But
whistle.
whisper in her. Yeah, I was
Not
going to
the
whisper in
whistle
her ear.
down.
Keep the whistle. Leave the pigs.
All right. Heading into the rooms as instructed, you eventually come to what looks to be a kind of a trophy hall. The air in this room is sickly sweet, a combination of flour and vinegar. It's sort of like a really cheap potpourri that's kind of permeating this entire space. Mounted on the wall are a number of grisly trophies, mostly human heads cut off. There are a couple of elves and dwarves and other races mixed in through it, but it seems as though most of these are people who the king has, or the emperor, should I say, has taken an affront to. Now, as you pass through, you also notice that on the wall is also the head of what looks to be a child.
We can agree this bastard's irredeemable, right?
Oh,
Yes.
Yes.
And we
All
can
right.
also agree that she will eventually need to be dealt with, but I did not see any reason to provoke her when we need that painter now. He is our only link to Vincarlo for the moment.
My
I
aim
still
was not
have-
to provoke her back into a fight. It
I
was just
still
a
have
promise.
few heals ready, if need be.
But let's find this psycho.
All right. No. To the room to the right. Mercutio, come back.
First door on the right.
Yep, and straight on through. Now, as you get to this next room,
I'm still huge.
are you?
If you use the scroll, if you use control and then hit control and then the scroll wheel, you can adjust the size.
Oh,
yourself.
okay. All right. Thanks.
Okay.
By the way, where's Patrick?
Ah!
Holly's going full.
I'm following. Following.
Yeah, I was just wondering because it's like I don't see their token.
I had to try. I'm sorry.
This dangerous
Holly's
power
just
we
gonna
have.
All right.
Holly's just gonna start the rumbling.
Now, as you enter the room, you can see the Emperor there with a knife to the throat of Salvador scream. And he says, "Not another step closer. Or otherwise your artist friend gets turned into a nice trophy to mount on me wall." Hold on, wait.
Oh, please, strangers, please free me from this place, from that wretched man. Anything in my power is yours if you can end this nightmare.
Wow, Salvatore sounds a little borderline. We need to get him out of here.
Just a little.
Listen, coward, do you really think you could kill him before I come over there and crush your skull between my hands?
Can I disarm him with a shot?
It would go into an initiative, and whoever won that initiative would get to go first. Whether or not you won initiative would depend whether or not you got to shoot him before he cut his throat. The answer is yes, but be aware it is a one and done. It is a one and done roll.
Let people try and talk him down before I shoot him.
Sure. You can have, if you want, you can have a ready to action so that if he does cut his throat, you do automatically fire to disarm. So that way it's still that roll off at barest minimum.
If he cuts his throat, I'm gonna fire to kill him.
Well, no. I mean, you're readying so as he's going to, you'll shoot. Yeah. That's right. Yeah. You'll have that readied.
All right. Yes. So I will make sure that there is a bullet in my gun before I come into the room.
Hey,
Can I cast, just quickly, could I cast a spell? Because the spell specifically says within the successes or failures whether the person knows whether you've cast a spell on them. So it's not immediately obvious unless they fail the roll. I mean, critically succeed on the roll. It's suggestion. I just want to kind of like talk him down with magic, basically.
Sure, I got no problem with that. Drop the suggestion on him as you begin to try and convince him to repent the errors of his ways and release the artist and all that other jazz.
Yeah, it's more so you just try to convince him of an action that, doesn't seem self-destructive or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she's like, look, now really, there's no need for all of this. Why don't you just put the knife down and we can talk about this? It doesn't have to come to bloodshed. And I'll drop the save on him. Where is he at?
He's over there somewhere.
See him on the map. Yeah. Do I have to move into the room, maybe?
Oh, hold on, wait.
It's probably because you have a wall in your way.
Hold on.
All right, yeah. No, I can see him now. I got it. Right. So.
There you go. Well, he critically fails. So.
On a critical failure. Okay, well then he's convinced that putting the knife down and just talking this through is the best idea for the next hour.
All right. So he doesn't let go of Salvador. Still kind of holds him firmly, but he puts down the knife. And he says, all right, well, what do you suggest then? I'm listening.
Well, what I wanted to say is that your friend, the executioner, just decided she wanted to take over in your place. So you kind of just have a coup going on. So maybe you should just leave the artist alone and go deal with the executioner.
He thinks about it and he goes, that filthy rat. You're here because she sent you to kill me.
No. We were fighting her. But we just got away and we just want the artist. We don't want anything to do with any of this. We just want the artist and we'll go away.
If we were sent to kill you, we would have done it without waiting.
He taps the blade on his chin and he says, okay, well, if you weren't here to kill me and you just want the artist, then you can take the artist and some treasure as well. If you kill that executioner.
Okay, that sounds like a great idea. Hand the artist over and we will go take out the executioner for you.
Now, Holly, are you lying? Because you do need to make deception checks if you are, and we know this.
I am absolutely. This time, before I wasn't lying. Now I'm lying.
Very
Pretty
well.
alive.
Oh wow.
All right. As you say this, he nods and he says, "Agreed. Then it's a deal." And he releases the artist.
Let's get the artist
Agnes
away.
kind of gathers him up, puts her arm around. You just come with us.
Myrtle
It'll be
stepped
all
to the
right.
side to let the artist out.
The
Hey,
artist.
It'll be all right.
Oh yeah, the artist. The artist runs. Sorry, that's the wrong guy. The artist runs out, and you watch as the emperor seems to start pacing back and forth. You can see he's like, I don't know, borderline mad as he's like sort of muttering to himself about the executioner's betrayal. He seems to stab his dagger into the table every so often. This is where we are going to play the broken card.
Oh.
Yes.
What you see in front of you is someone who is not just evil or deranged, but he has some very deep-seated mental problems. He is muttering, he is going back and forth, he is paranoid. The stress of everything he's been under, like in terms of like the city isolating Old Korvosa, rallying these people, you can tell here that you're not looking at like a guy sitting on a throne trying to take power. You see a guy in like a dirty red bathrobe wearing sandals, running back and forth, scratching his head with a crown that's effectively made of tinfoil, as he is sitting there trying to like figure out how to stop this coup from happening. He then looks at you and says, "Well, what are you waiting for? Go on in."
I'm waiting for.
Padraig has been quiet through this whole thing, and he looks and he sees the child's head on a wall. And he turns to him, eyes from the child to his, and back to the child. What did they do to deserve that?
Hold on.
Now they have to find out the information of lore for this particular one.
Yeah.
Let's see. Yada, yada, yada. He tells you a story about how this child was a thief from a drug peddling snake in the grass from the main city. You don't recognize this specific child, but you immediately know that he's talking about one of Lamb's pickpockets.
Right. So you felt that death and mounting their head as trophy for a child who'd been forced into servitude because they had no other options. They had no way out. They had no power. You thought that was the mark of someone who deserves to rule, to be in charge, and to even hold their own life?
Have you not seen what these people are like? Authority here needs to be earned by fear. If someone steals from you, then everyone can steal from you. You need to make it clear what those consequences are, no matter who you are or how old you are.
If you make it clear that you're a madman and a mad dog, you're going to be put down like one. And Patrick is going to raise his gun.
He looks...
and level at him.
He looks surprised, but then that surprise changes. It changes to a look of defiance as he looks at you. You do not see any remorse. He looks at you unapologetically, his eyes fiercely looking at you. And he says, "Go on. Do it."
I will. I
Do you
will
say
whisper.
do you say that or you whisper that?
No, I whisper to my gun, which is already loaded, burn for a fulminating shot, and I'll shoot him
Nice. The last
with a
words.
nat 20.
The last words out of his mouth are that you can be the executioner now. And when you fire, that gun manages to knock the crown off his head, putting a perfect circle in the actual crown itself as he falls to the ground.
I have no problem being an executioner. When
All right.
needs be.
Blood pools around the bed that he once considered to be his own chambers, but he is now gone. All that remains are the blood-stained portraits upon the wall, the ruined sheets, and the squeaky, blood-soaked floorboards.
Patrick is going to take the kid's head off the wall.
You may do so. At this point, a very unusual thing happens. You hear the sounds of rattling chains and a thumping, dragging noise. From behind you, you are approached by Leori. She has a warm and pleasant smile on her face as she approaches, and she says, "Oh, I see you found him. Mr. Salvador, I have to say, I'm such a big fan." And you watch as she holds up what looks to be the gnome's head in her hand. And she says, "Oh, I brought you something. I figured, well, I didn't know what you liked. I thought maybe flowers, but then I realized they didn't probably need to be dead, and it'd be hard to fight with flowers. And then this person, she said a lot of stuff that it was kind of weird and things, and she was then like, ooh, this and that, I'm gonna kill you, and yeah, well, I have a head. Would you like it, sir?" You see Salvador is not squeamish at all by it, but kind of looks at it and goes, "No, but," and you notice that he's admiring the heads on the wall, and he says, "But maybe just leave it on the table there. And you see that he's trying to sort of catch his breath, like he's trying to like sort of figure things out. And he's like, "Oh yeah, of course. Like this." Yeah, that's fine. She kind of peers into the room and she says, "Oh, you killed that guy too. Great. Well, is that everyone dead?"
Oh,
I think
not
that's a good.
everyone.
I think it's enough.
Everyone who needs to be dead, yes.
Oh, that's good. Everyone is what you said, and I heard it, and I'm going to hold you to it. That means we're friends now.
Well, I didn't say everyone. In fact, I specifically was about to say everyone with a big old question mark at the end.
Too late. No backsies. You love me. Okay. Now, Mr. Salvador, I have so many questions. If you don't mind, I know you've just had a very, very traumatic experience, but I have a lot of things that I really, really, really want to say to you. And if you've got the time, I mean, he kind of looks around and he says, I'd really much rather, get out of here. Oh, so, I mean, if staying here is causing you suffering, then I won't be long. He kind of sighs and he goes, okay. What would you want to know? Well, first of all, where do your ideas come from? Like what has inspired this latest rush of artwork that you've done? Because some of it seems to be almost prophetic in nature, and my church has brought me to go and speak to you about, what this is all about.
Can we actually? I'm sorry to interrupt, but can we just sneak one really quick question in? because this is going to be obviously a very deep and thoughtful conversation, and it might be more efficient since we've got just one little, just a small question.
Well, I suppose you did do a lot of fighting. Okay, yeah, I mean, if that's okay with you, Mr. Salvador, Mr. Screen, Mr. Salvador, sir. No, but yeah, okay, yes.
I look at him and I'm like, where's Ben Carlo? What happened?
I don't know what's going to happen here, but we're going to find out together, shall we?
Yes.
Please, I beg you to find him. Find them both. Korvosa isn't a safe place for them. They need to escape the city. Me too. And you as well.
Okay, I think I missed one of the points. Let's try this one again. Maybe it's
both
this
who?
one.
Who's the other one?
I know, that's what I was
Carlo
gonna say.
asked for
Her? The crazy lady?
I knew about the fate of Neolandis.
Let me try that again, because...
Seneschal of Castle Korvosa.
Shh, quiet. Let's try it again.
Then Carlo asked for everything I knew about the fate of Neolandis Calapopolis, the Seneschal of Castle Korvosa. You see, he and I are friends, an unlikely pair, but it's true. On the morning Eredid II died, Neolandis showed up at my home, desperate, bloodied, and poisoned, delirious. I had nursed him back to health, and he told me the terrible truth. Queen Iliosa had murdered her husband, and had entered an alliance with the Red Mantis, who had tried to assassinate Neolandis, were it not for the fickleness of luck. Worse, my friends said there was something about the Queen that wasn't right, that she had changed, grown worse somehow. Whatever that meant, he wouldn't tell me more. He seemed certain that the less I knew, the safer I would be. He said he needed time to think and research before he could come up with a course of action. We both knew my home was no fortress, so I suggested he seek out the Arconis family for protection. They were among my greatest patrons. If anyone had the means to keep him safe, it was they. I escorted him to the Arconis estate late at night, a few days before the quarantine fell. Glorio gracefully agreed to hide my friend on his estate. I have not seen my friend since.
And Van Carlo was pursuing this line of thought with you, and you were
Yes.
captured at his home.
Well, yes. You see, Venkala was not at his home when it was attacked. I myself was hiding out within Venkalo's home when, well, he had unexpected guests. I retreated back to my studio, but there I was caught by the Emperor. Well, the so-called Emperor of Old Korvosa. But Venkala was already missing for some time. I believe he went to go and try and free Neolandis, but may not have been successful in his task. Please.
Free Neolandis from where?
From the Arconis.
Right.
All right. Thank you.
I don't know what more info is going to do, but we're going to find out together. Boop.
There's more. The Arconis seemed friendly enough, and I felt at the time they could be trusted to hide Neolandis from the Queen. But after my meetings with Van Carlo, I'm worried I've traded my friend's danger for another. It seems the Arconis are more criminal-minded than I ever knew. And I suspect Van Carlo may have tried to infiltrate Arcona Palace to find Neolandis. Have you seen him? Is he safe?
I'm going to pretend he didn't ask that last question.
I agree. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. As he says this, eventually you hear Leori, the cleric, turn and go, bored now. You've already asked your one question, okay? Now it's my turn. I've been waiting a long time. I have my mission. My church is, of course, trying to do all this. So, okay, thank you. Goodbye. I hope that you do well. And I also have a button here for her. Hold on.
Oh boy.
Well, all right then. Thanks for your help, but I need to go report to my superiors. Oh, don't be sad. I haven't seen the last of you. In fact, I look forward to the next time we meet.
And with that,
Can't
she
wait.
and then she takes Salvador by the arm and escorts him and leaves. Salvador kind of almost like hesitates for a moment, but inevitably does go with her. Like, he's not resisting or he's not like untoward. He knows that she's a fan and that you guys have saved her, but she's also very weird. So there is that.
Okay. Time to go to the Arconis Manor, I guess.
Agnes is like rubbing her temples slightly. And she's just like, the brainwaves of all these people we've been surrounded by lately, they've got my head hurting. They're not normal. Oh, I need a cup of tea.
Could probably use a cup of tea as well.
All right.
I think we maybe need to. Looks at the blood stains on him. At least take a short break before we plot out our next move before we run headlong into to danger again. At least if we want to come out of the other side.
Taking the time. I'm sorry, go on.
You do mind a detour, or perhaps I could catch up with you again later. I would like to go ask Grundy some questions.
Are you going to ask him questions with your voice or with your sword?
As you said, Patrick, he takes the sword out and kind of like holds it out as a symbolic gesture, like, no, I need to. He's the only one who knows, who understands my condition. He's the only one who can help me understand it better.
I understand. Be careful. We were lucky to make it out the last time. And I think it's just because he didn't think that we were worth expending the effort to exterminate. So, but do what you need to do and find out what you need to find out. Do you want any of us to go with you? Moral support.
I would not stop you.
Or help at least
I do
prevent something from escalating.
I know we haven't been together long, but I feel like I can trust you all.
Well, I'm glad. I feel like we can trust you too. I'd hate to see you go and not come back just because you went to go find answers and said the wrong thing or got a little too pissed off and decided to try and chop off the head of someone who could destroy you with a flick of their wrist.
Believe me, I know that I am unable to fight him in my current state.
All things in their time. All right.
I need to know the main thing.
All right. I'm going to interject here, mostly because we don't need to have your conversation twice. So, as Patrick, Holly, Quinn, Dante, and Agnes prepare to go to the Arconis estate in order to confront Glorio Arconis about the whereabouts of, well, at the very least, Vencarlo, but also potentially Neolandis, this missing seneschal of Castle Korvosa, who knows the truth about what happened with the queen and the death of the former emperor. Our group makes their way over to Agnes's house, where they will sit, heal, and enjoy a lovely pot of tea. For the purposes of this, I am going to give everyone full healing, and I'm going to say that you will not necessarily need to spend resources to do so. Magic tea is magic tea. But you do not have your spells and other bonuses reset until you take a long rest.
I say we take a long rest, and I want to shower.
Would you guys like that?
Yes.
I think we could probably use it.
Okay, not a worry. Then in which case, you guys will be having a long rest, which I will give you guys now.
And I can switch out my spells.
Very well, which you can do later. Now, in the meantime, however, you make your way across the precipice of the narrows, the kind of like bridges that are now destroyed, and eventually make your way to a small, unassuming shop with moss, mildew, and vines growing very, very thick through the front of the shop-facing window. As you arrive, a figure currently works behind the counter, diligently with a mortar and pestle. You hear the grinding of the stone as it moves and crushes the herbs that within. And the man standing there is a tall, hooded figure with a large beaked mask. He looks in your direction and says,
The music is a tad loud. There we go.
I did not expect to see you again so soon. To what do I owe the pleasure?
You're the only one who can understand my condition. You're the only one that I can ask questions.
And why, pray, would I share any of this? What's to say you want to take my answers and go and find someone else to further the research that I have been working on so diligently?
Because you're the only person that I know of, other than you know who.
Well,
I've already spoken my disdain for him.
fair enough. Well, you can at the very least ask your questions. Whether or not I will have or even relinquish answers is yet to be seen. But do come in proper. I refuse to have a conversation with someone standing at my precipice.
Merc enters. Fully.
I'll follow.
all right. He continues grinding away at the concoction he's working on. You hear the
Are there any patrons in here, or is it just us?
it's just you. No one comes
Okay.
here.
Well, that's good. Merc will pop off his helmet and set it down as more of a symbol to show that he's actually willing to talk.
Okay, you remove your helmet and place it down on a small bench top nearby. All right.
We both know how negative magic affects undead, how it rejuvenates us. However, I have noticed something. I get angry. More than I could ever say, ever. To the point where I'm blinded by rage.
And you believe that your current state has something to do with your heightened sense of anger?
I do not know if it's the cause of it or if it's something wearing at my psyche. I feel, like I said, I feel rejuvenated, but at the same time, I just feel such an uncontrollable rage that I want to just break everything in front of me.
Fascinating. Rage is not an uncommon emotion among the undead. Those with senses of resentment or loss that has not yet been fulfilled. Revenants, wraiths, and the others. It's very rare for corporeal undead to maintain such a strong connection, especially when you supposedly claim to have the will and sense of self that you claim to. I posit this as a question. Do you believe that your life as what I presume as a paladin, was the life that belonged to you? I mean, after all, it's not like you can find people who would be able to identify you based on your appearance. Nor would you really have anything that would be able to prove beyond the things that were on your person when you arose. There are many ways to deal with, learn, and manipulate one's memories. At least traditionally, it's thought that these manipulations would happen while people were, well, alive. The undead tend to have a lot of defenses against mental influence. Not perfect, mind you, but it is definitely harder to get into their psyche. But this... Sorry, I keep forgetting your name. Not that it's important, but... whomever you believe yourself to be, how are you to know that that is a real person? That it is not simply a construct to give you a sense of self, as opposed to actually being. You say you feel more angry. But what if you were never less angry? What if you have simply always been?
Are you suggesting that the memories were imparted to me forcibly and that I am just a host to them? That the negative energies from the magic that heals me is bringing out the true me, not Mercutio the knight.
I mean, if that's what you heard, then... Well, if that's what you heard, then perhaps. I'm simply positing a theory, thinking out loud as you ask your questions. As I said, I won't always be able to have answers for such things, but they are curious exercises in mental acumen. I mean, after all, the last thing you want is someone to be resurrected with a broken sense of self. You want to create things for them, a drive, a purpose, a need, a desire. Otherwise they would simply become like all the others, mindless, needing to feed on life itself in order to sustain oneself, such is the way of necromancy. It's like this.
He walks over to a kind of an hourglass. And as he looks at it, he turns it upside down.
Life and death flow like a river, like water. There can be no life without death, much like there can be no death without life. To be born dead would be like the sand in this glass. Necromantic energies sustaining you and maintaining you, slowly pouring out, taking with it everything that you would be. To say that the anger in you is the same as this power is not quite right. It is when the hourglass empties, and that sense of self that you have fades away and disappears, leaving you hollow. That, I believe, may possibly be where your emotions come from. So long as you remain with sand...
And you watch as he then flips the hourglass back over again.
And continue to receive a steady amount of sustainable necromantic energies, then you will maybe be able to maintain the sense of self, whatever your sense of self happens to be.
I see.
You have a lot to think about, Mercutio, as you've asked this question of Grundy. He seems unperturbed by your visit, and you kind of feel for a moment that you may be imposing. As you turn to walk away, he says one final thing.
If you have any further questions, bring tea next time.
And on those final words, you rejoin your teammates. Now, 8 hours pass as our heroes manage to take the time to rest, recover, and discuss their plans for approaching the Arconis family. Now, what you know about the Arconis is that they are one of the most influential families in the entire city of Korvosa, owning a palace in the northern side of Old Korvosa. And there are many rumors circulating around them having very strong criminal ties. However, the good that they do in the city often outweighs the shady things that they are supposedly involved in. So even the city guard have never acted in full against the Arconis.
Do we know if they were hit by the assassins?
No, they were
During
one of
the
the survivors.
Okay. Which means, based on the information that we've gotten, that they are in with the queen. And she considers them loyal to her.
Yes, very likely. As you know, the Red Mantis are allied with the Queen, and that they simply targeted people who had protested the Queen's rise to power. The nobles that did, sorry.
I'm still not sure, though, that I really understand the whole Red Mantis association here. I mean, they're hired assassins. They kill for money. Like, is the Queen simply just paying them to murder a lot of people? Or is there some other connection here that we're missing?
Well, I would expect she would have the funds, certainly, to keep them on going on. I would be surprised. What you're suggesting is that they also have political motivations, yes?
Well, not necessarily political. I mean, they are technically a religious, cult, church,
Well, I mean,
whatever. So, I mean, there could be any. Yes. Or is it literally... I mean, I don't think they're cheap. I know the Queen has a lot of money, but that's still a lot of money.
Enough to pay off an entire association. That's possible that she could, but very expensive to maintain.
I mean, they killed a lot of nobles. You know what I'm saying? Like that. Surely that couldn't have been cheap.
Unless,
No,
of course,
but
she. Unless
you
she
know,
was.
if you,
Good.
I mean, if you wipe out the noble families, their wealth is going to get absorbed by the crown. If they've no heirs left, she gets everything from them. So, I mean, it's not cheap to wipe out a noble family, but you wind up with all of their possessions, their property, their wealth, and you've removed a threat to your own power. That's going to be worth every penny.
No, but I mean, surely she has to realize that eventually, if she gets, too big for her boots, somebody else with more money will just pay the Red Mantis assassins to do away with her.
They depends on the level of alliance, and we did also watch her pull a crossbow bolt out of her skull.
Right, which is another reason why I think maybe there's something a wee bit more going on here than just...
Oh, there's absolutely something going on.
Paying them.
Yeah, and to your point, I mean, politics and religion go hand in hand. They always have. So, if there is an alliance of purpose for what they want for their religious or political or power needs, as well as the money. Perhaps she's trying to help them set up a satellite base of operations. Perhaps they're spreading. I don't know enough about them to know really what they want. They're dangerous, and she's dangerous.
I recently took a feat called automatic writing, which basically allows me to use my occultism skill. Like I just write automatically for 10 minutes, but I can use my occultism skill to do any like law check on like a law skill that I don't have, basically. Sure. Is there any way I could use that to, like, what law would that be to find out? Well, I would ask everybody, like, as well, like, I can, get the wee odd glimpse into things that really I don't necessarily know myself. Do we want to know more about, the Red Mantis assassins, or
and I mean, would
the noble house, or
would a society check or something as well kind of give some insight into what people know are the purposes of the Red Mantis, or would it be something else?
I think this would be kind of general knowledge, especially because I think you guys have made some checks in the past as well. You know the following. Red Mantis assassins do not ally themselves often outside of contract. They get paid to kill things. Like, doesn't matter how hard it is, doesn't matter how challenging. They are not just assassins. They are clerics. They are priests. They worship the god of assassinations, which is very different to the god of murder and the god of death. They relish the hunt, the chase. They need, as part of their religion, to be paid for their services. They hold no bearings and grudges. There is an entire island dedicated to the training of their agents. They are worldwide in terms of their network of assassins, spies, and members. And they are relentless and ruthless. There is nothing that is off target for them. Children, women, innocent people, doesn't matter how many people they need to kill. Every assassination is a tribute and a sacrifice to their god, which is why they do it. They do not hold sacredness to anything beyond that. Even their own lives are not held sacred. They do not care if they die in the pursuit of their contracts because the others will take their place. It's one of the things that makes them the most dangerous assassin organization in the world.
Right. And once they've taken a contract, they're not going to break it because that would be blasphemy, essentially. Right.
Correct. There would have to be some sort of really extenuating circumstances, like their client betraying some element of their confidence or some element of the contract, or being unable to fulfill the payment, or, just tons of those little things that, fall into that category. But they will not hear your sympathetic eyes. But this person's going to destroy the city. The Red Mantis is like, I don't care. But the Red Mantis, you've got 50 agents in the city. They'll all die. It's like, yep, they'll die for the cause. They don't care.
It also doesn't help that the only thing that will stop them is if you would be like a true heir to a throne.
No, they don't care.
A rightful monarch. It's in their doctrine.
No, what they won't help with is the changing of government. So while they don't care if you kill, say, a bunch of nobles or people who are rightful heirs, what they won't participate in is the secession of power.
Right. They see the murder of monarchs as a no thing.
Yeah. So they won't. Basically, they won't kill the queen under any circumstances. Much like they themselves were not responsible for killing the emperor, because they would not kill the emperor. But if, say, the queen had a child who was the next heir to the throne, they would take them out if requested, because that's not changing or shifting the power dynamic. Chief Justice Taft, thank you for the insight bonus. All of the information on the Red Mantis comes courtesy of this information.
All right. So, I mean, as far as they're concerned, a contract's a contract. It's a contract. They get paid. They'll do what they were paid to do. And it's just the act of assassination. That's enough for them. I mean, doesn't have to make sense to us, I guess. But zealotry does not follow reason. Regardless of that, we have the fortress of an enemy to figure out how to gain access to. That's our next
I don't think walking in the front door is really going to cut it.
No. Patrick takes a look around at us.
Party or something, we could get ourselves invited to.
We're not the sort of people who get invited and get to walk through the front door of this place. None of us are. Even my old life, I wasn't.
I'm a noble.
You're not a Korvosa noble. And, as far as... So, again, reaching into his head, would they care about Fey nobility? I'm thinking the answer is probably no.
Oh, no, they do. The nobles are all about standing and, kind of what do you call it? Reputation and things like that.
Right.
Like, they want to also come across very much like their noble, hospitality and that kind of thing.
I mean, how noble exactly are you, Holly?
The queen's my first cousin.
Which queen?
The Queen of
The
the
queen
Fae.
of the Queen of the Fae is your first cousin?
Yeah, that's a straight up lie.
The Queen of the Fae is your first cousin, and you're hanging out here.
Well, I didn't want to get married.
I don't think Patrick's really buying that, but
I don't know if it's common knowledge, but religion knowledge would let you know that the Queen of the Faes, there is no actual Queen of the Fae. There's like seven, maybe
Right.
a few more, of what's known as the Eldest. The Eldest are basically gods of the Fae, and each one has their own mass court, like the Lantern King, Queen Mab, the Green Man, tons of these individuals. I'm not gonna waste time by being like, aha, this, and aha, Holly. But as far as Holly's told you, that she's always been a noble, that she has been pursued for a royal relationship, and that Puck, who is the person Holly's running away from, you guys kind of met him in brief before, you know what I mean?
yeah.
So, there is merit to, Holly is of some stature, so status, at least in some part, in the Fae court.
Well, us knights were also at one point considered a type of noble, but I don't know if they would.
No, you weren't, because you would have died before that happened. Because remember, you were part of the Crusades, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So if you're part of the Crusades, it was only after those Crusades that the people who had survived those Crusades as the knights were then awarded their nobility. You were buried with honor, as it were. But your name,
right? But Merc knows this from after being resurrected.
How?
I mean, I think it would be common knowledge that knights are considered nobility.
No. Knights got so that's in our thing. Because keeping in mind, so in terms of the meta for your character, remember you're like anyone could become a paladin. That doesn't immediately make them nobility. In this particular case, it was something awarded to the Crusaders for a specific task at the end of their crusade. They weren't nobles going into it. You know what I mean? They were nobles coming out of it for that particular one. Because they took a lot of people with them. Because Aradin being the god of humanity, and Iomade being the second in command to that, they took everyone. They didn't just take nobles. They took peasants. They took paupers. They took bakers.
Okay.
And, yeah.
So it wasn't
as
knights
an
generally,
out
but
of
those
character thing. I didn't know that.
No, I
That's
know.
why
What I'm
that's
saying
why I
is,
took the Curtly Grace's ability. Which,
yeah. Which is fine. So I mean, again, like I said, I just wanted to I kind of want to keep the lore to the minimum, and I want to do the world build. Like you had said, we haven't discussed this, so this is actually a good point. For a PSA, boom, Dead Aussie Gamer, how to GM when you're GMing with people, because sometimes you do stuff like this. Here's the catch. For me, when you're playing with a group of people, it's important to kind of establish things as you go along, as well as before a game. Because here's the thing. World building, there's tons of world building, especially in a pre-written setting. For example, even what Holly said in regards to being the second cousin of the queen. That's a great bit of improv. And I don't want to, nitpick on that improv. It's great improv. But it doesn't necessarily match with the lore of the story or of where we're going. And that slight correction isn't oh, how dare you improv and how dare you come up with random stuff and yada, yada, yada. But it's important to remember that as a GM, you've got to be kind of gentle with it. You got to be kind of like, what am I willing to let go? What am I willing to kind of keep? What am I willing to discuss? Or what am I willing to correct? In this case, a little correction of Holly is definitely a noble. Holly is definitely someone of importance in the court. Holly, however, is not the first cousin of, Queen Mab. That's literally demigod level stuff. So it's a little adjacent. It's like, yeah, she's important, yada, yada, yada. And that correction is then just, oh, okay, cool, now I know this. With Mercutio, it's exactly the same thing. It's not this little bit of improv is not going to work, or this little bit of backstory is not going to work. What's going to happen here is quite literally, don't forget, the GM does the world building and has set up where things are. When you brought in this character, I kind of have an idea of where you are and your backstory, because a lot of your memories are lost from between when you died and when you got brought up. So I've built a lot of that story, which I haven't talked to you about because, of course, as a GM, you don't want to spoil the story stuff involved with what is Mercutio's true identity. So seeding that with Grundy today, that's part of all of that sort of stuff. So in terms of Mercutio, what we're going to do here is we'll take it from the perspective of Mercutio believes either that he wasn't noble beforehand, which would be separate to the fact that all knights are this, right? But I want you to start taking it from the perspective of Mercutio's point of view rather than a correction on the world lore. Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah.
Because I understand what you're saying, but there's two ways to say it. One is, oh, Mercutio was a noble before he died. And the other is, oh, all knights are nobles, which is two very separate statements. One's about yourself and your character. The other is dictating the world law in a different way.
Right.
You know?
And I think I got that confused with
real world
D&D
law
as well.
Oh, no,
Well,
that's
that
real
too.
world law. Yeah, it's real world law. I mean, absolutely. You've used, like, in the real world, that is absolutely how it works, 100%. But like I said, we haven't discussed it. We haven't talked about it at length. But, and I want to tell this to the audience as well, it's important to have these kind of little dialogues just to be like, hey, I don't mind you, you know, building the world lore around your character. But yeah, try to avoid or steer away from saying this is how the whole world works. Because for me, that's very much on the meta side of things. Like, for example, Padric, I think, has a great opportunity to turn around and say, do I know the Arconus personally? And great, then I will feed the Arconus information to Padric based on what he knows because Padric's a noble. Do you know what I mean? Versus Padric going off, reading about the Arconus, and then assuming he knows all this stuff because he is a noble. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, and I think in this case, Padric, these are real important people, and Padric probably knows of them, maybe has met them, but knows he never really ran in their circle.
Yeah, correct. You definitely, I would agree with all of that. I would also say that maybe your father would have introduced you to Glorio Arconus himself, who is the person who is currently in charge of that. But it would have been as a child, and it would have been like kind of like a, yes, meet my son, you know, yada 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 yada. So
yeah, head pat, be on your way.
Yeah, correct. So your father kind of has that sort of influence over it more than anything else. So you don't know if you've got any true power in that situation, but, you know, at least there's some groundwork there. Plus what you've suggested, Holly being a noble and stuff like that, and Mercutio again. So just to dial back to that, with Mercutio's backstory, are we looking at the noble background pre-Crusades as well? I mean, I'm happy for it. I mean, it's no, like, you know, there's no problem with it. Because you did say you had courtly graces as a feat?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, but you don't have to be a noble to have courtly graces either. You could be someone
Yeah, no,
who's
it just says I was raised among the nobility or have learned proper etiquette and bearing.
Correct, yeah. What do you feel? What speaks to Mercutio?
What would be the closest thing, like, that's not noble, but, like, was raised among them, like his father was close enough to them, or what he would believe anyway?
Oh, literally the servants, like people who would dress them, who would clean, who would cook for them, who would do that whole thing. Given that you're a knight, I would probably say that maybe your father was a squire and who didn't actually manage to get to the knighthood. Then you would have like come into that scene being raised among it, and then yourself being given the opportunity to take on a squireship and actually succeeding. That'd probably be the closest equivalent, I think, to being that close during your upbringing.
I think that would fit Merc perfectly.
Sure. Yeah, all right. Sweet. Happy days. Happy for that. All right. So, moving right along. Sorry, was there a so?
I could go to the manor and you guys could be my entourage.
I could also think I could probably get, I don't know, myself, maybe someone or two, but, you know, in with the staff. Maybe he's looking for somebody that needs an odd job doing or some extra work.
That's what I was
you
thinking
know,
too. Kind of cozy up to the stuff. I think they'd be a lot more forthcoming, and
I never got any work at the Arconus place, but I mean, I did, you know, the odd job. job on, at various, when the nobility were having events and things, they always took on a bit extra staff, and it's not bad money either,
Who do you apply to? The butler? Is that how this works? Do we ask to speak with the butler?
Generally,
mean,
yes, whoever's in head of the staff.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's okay.
Usually I just got someone I knew to put a good word in for me. You go along, you meet them, and it's all done kind of thing. But
Do
I'm
you
just
know
thinking it might
anyone
be
that
another way
works?
to sneak in.
Do you happen to know anyone that works at the Arconis Manor? Palace, whatever it is.
I'm
Their
not really
house.
sure. We might have to ask the great voice in the sky.
Okay.
All right,
Regardless, I think
let's have a look.
The great voice.
this guy.
All right. Unfortunately, no, you do not know anyone from the Arconis family. But I will say this:
No, I
you
mean
do...
someone that works there.
No, no. You don't know anyone who works in the compound.
No.
However,
No.
however, you do know that very recently, like just before the quarantine hit, they hired a great number of people to join the staff. You don't know any of them, but you do know that there was like a lot of wanted ads and stuff like that. For that.
Well, I don't know anybody personally, but they have taken on a lot of staff recently. So it might be easier to be the whole, I'm new. And they might not really know. There might be a lot of new faces about the place. Yeah.
I'm sure there's a lot of turnover because there was a plague and staff
So
is
some of us
invisible
could
to
sneak
them.
in, some of us could go through the front door. I mean, whatever. Just options,
That does
We could do both.
Holly, does your Fae Court do they only include Fae, or are there humans there too?
Nope, only Fae. But if I left the court to go visiting, and that would be normal, then I would need a little bit of an entourage. So having a bodyguard that was not Fae wouldn't be out of the question.
That makes a lot of sense. As he gives he as a slight joking playfulness, he kind of gives her like a small knightly bow.
So we send in Holly as a traveling Fae noble. Marquisha, you acting as her hired bodyguard while she's on this plane. The rest of us blend in the staff. Myself, I've not really had dealings with these people as an adult. I hopefully won't be noticed by anyone because that would probably bring more questions than I'd be comfortable with. So I'm all for trying to blend in unnoticed with the staff. But if we have a distraction, that might help us get in the back door as well.
I have a question. I don't mean to put the plan into any kind of like spin or anything, but why didn't you just ask to talk to them?
That's too easy, Mike.
Okay, yeah, I just wanted to say it. I mean, we've gone into full heist mode, and like you don't know even if they're like in the compound.
To be honest or forthcoming?
I mean, you've no idea. You don't know these people.
Well,
no, but we know that
that's what the front door distraction is, to go and talk to them.
We know that the assassins didn't kill them.
It's true.
We know that much.
And Salvatore said they were bad people.
They're true that they're criminals, but it also doesn't necessarily mean that they are gonna turn around and murder you guys, because you guys are still quote unquote the heroes of Korvosa, remember? So you guys are like renowned as heroes. If the Arconises kill the people who were just decorated by the queen for being heroes, that looks very bad on them.
Yeah, you guys have a little more pull than.
Yeah, I keep forgetting about that.
Yeah, you guys had a whole ceremony. I mean, I know you guys remember. I mean, it was a bit distracting with the queen's, head being penetrated by a crossbow bolt and stuff. But you guys legitimately got acknowledged for that whole like quarantine zone debacle.
We've had a skulk about since kind of thing. That's been a bit.
Yeah, that's true. It's true. It's easy to forget. And the reason I bring that up is because I want you guys to remember you have this quiver, this arrow in your quiver. Because not only that, don't forget as well, the queen was the one who directed you to becoming a deputy with Cressida. Back when you returned you returned the brooch to her?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I just had dismissed the ceremony as heroes as so much puppet theater and assumed that her inner circle would know, but
Yeah, it
it
was all
makes sense
just
that you
show.
guys that the rest of the party would have a little more pull.
although
Is
still
Nigel still talking and muted, or?
No. I'm just like I said, I didn't want to throw your whole plan out in the thing. I just I was hearing what you guys were saying. I was like, yeah, okay, you guys can break in. I've got no problem with that. I'm fully prepared for that. I'm just like, most of these heists tend to go one way, and I'm like, I'm
thinking if you just walk in, we still have to find some way to sneak about and try and find whoever we're looking for. Because it's not like we can just walk in and ask them.
Yeah, but more importantly, if you walk in,
although that's probably exactly what Holly would do. Hi, we're here to find our friends. Oh dear God.
That's kind of true. But here's the thing. You could very easily walk in, suss it out, and walk out. You know what I mean? Like you've got enough. At least you've got enough ammo to know that you could have a conversation with the Arconus without any repercussions, and then based on that discussion, you could easily then go, well, that guy's fucking lying. Let's break in and stuff like that. I mean, you can gather that information more in a direct way without putting yourselves at risk. Because if you break in and get caught, that immediately brings you to that point of like, this is hostility straight away, as a thing.
So, sensible recon first is an option.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, maybe knock on the door before you smash in the window. I
wasn't going to smash the window in, take the cellar door and sneak on in.
But keeping in mind, this is not me telling you what you guys should do. More me, I said, very easy to have forgotten your status in the city again amongst everything that's happened. So as your GM, I'm just giving you that opportunity to sort of have that moment and go, oh, by the way, did you know this is...
you're famous.
Yeah, by the way, yeah, you're famous, and people actually know who you are, and you actually have...
Also, where is the Arconus mansion? Because the bridges got burnt down, didn't they?
Yes, it is... it's next to Fort Korvosa.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I wonder if they're pissed about that.
A little bit, but
we could go in and
what are they going to do about it?
Yeah, we could go in and just ask if they know any way of getting back over. We find ourselves here and the bridges are down and
we're trapped.
How are you getting across?
Sure.
Doing
yeah.
All right, I like that. Okay.
How are you dealing with this situation?
All right. So you would like to go up and see if you can request a audience with Glorio?
And right before we get to the door, I'm going to cast Discern Lies on myself.
And definitely before they leave, Merc's will put his helmet back on because...
Sure, not a problem. Sure.
He can't let anybody but the people he knows.
Yeah, not a problem. I'm also not going to change your mini just because we're just about to hit the end. But our heroes prepare there to go and speak with the Arconus. You make your way towards the northern side of Old Korvosa, eventually arriving at Fort Korvosa and what looks to be an opulent palace surrounded by an immense and beautiful garden. Their gate here is open and allows people access. You can actually see a couple of individuals who are tending the garden and a few people who have just kind of wandered in just to kind of enjoy the sights. After a certain point, you do notice there are a number of guards dressed in robes with turbans on their heads that are dressed with a very, very bright, colorful floral plumage from some sort of bird of some kind. As you are there, the guards approach you and they say, "Hold! Who goes there?"
Oh, the heroes of Korvosa.
Well, heroes of Korvosa, you're welcomed to the Arcona estate. What business do you have here?
Well, we were hoping to speak to Glorio. Was it Glorio? Yes,
Yeah.
Lord Glorio. Like, what would be the proper? Is it Lord?
Lord, yeah, you would probably say to Lord Arconis or Glorio
Lord
if you're
Arconis.
formal. Yeah.
Yeah.
They talk to the other guards, and in a moment he says, "Very well. Come with me." And they begin to escort you towards the palace proper. You pass by more of the immaculate garden until you come to the impressive doors, which open for you, allowing you entrance to the Arconis estate. Next week, when we return, our heroes will conduct the first and most difficult thing any D&D party has ever done. A conversation that doesn't end in murder.
Oh, man.
Oh, man.
I feel
To be
attacked.
fair, conversations that don't end in murder is pretty much what Agnes is built for, really. I mean, she's got a rolling pin. It's not much
And
murderizing
we've
going on
had
with
at least one, right?
That's true, that's true. Yeah, that's true. All right. But you guys know, you guys were amazing. You guys did so well with all of the stuff. So well, in fact, I think it is about time for you to level up. Yay! All right. So our heroes now have reached level 8, thanks to the efforts that they have taken trying to protect the city, as well as the efforts of our lovely audience, who have done a lot of really, really cool stuff to make things so good and so awesome. Now, Dante, we will have to talk about your magic item and where the hell it is, because,
Yeah.
honest to God, Dante, I'm like, I can't even remotely remember what it was. I know that you had one, and I know that we've hidden it, and I know that I kept saying that, hey, we should remind us of this thing, because, you know, there should be the opportunity. So now I've got another opportunity to bestow something on you guys, and I will definitely get that magic item to you. So there you go. All right. Well, without any further ado, guys, we are going to bid you farewell, and we are going to send a raid off. Who shall we send you to go and hang out with? Who is doing things? Ba-da-da-da-da-da. So few rolls tonight, but still good. Yeah, that's true. There weren't that many rolls. We kind of just had a lot of discussion stuff. Yeah, there was like, what, like, there was 2 rolls. That's about it. Holly rolled a deception check. 3 rolls. Holly rolled deception. Patrick rolled perception. Sorry. Yeah, Holly deception. Patrick perception. And then the Emperor rolled a will save, and that was it. That was the whole game. All right.
And, you know, we did have a conversation that it didn't end in us murdering someone with the executioner. That
Yes,
murder
that is
was,
true.
you know, entirely out of our scope, not our fault.
True.
Murph feels cheated.
All right, we are going
Murph
to
feels cheated.
raid. We're going to raid Elder I Ent, a new group of individuals that we would like to get to know a little bit more. So we're going to be sending our love all the way over there. So guys, be sure to fill in their chat with all of the love emotes, all of the raid emotes. Remember, we have our own right there. Boom, there it is for any of our followers and subscribers. So feel free to throw them out there. And guys, stay safe. Stay wonderful until we meet again. As always, game hard or die trying. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.